Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Cornell Hunter. I'm sitting in with Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. We're going to be taking a look at the 2009 Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know they're coming off of one of the most spectacular Super Bowl victories to date. What do you see in store for the 2009 Steelers Mike Tomlin's group?
I see more of the same. I think these guys have a real good shot at repeating as Super Bowl champions as well as AFC North champions. I think these guys have the right formula in place. You keep your good players. You may lose one or two here and there, but you place them with more good players. So I think they're in a good situation. They're really sitting in prime sitting for a nice run at the Super Bowl again.
And Mike Tomlin has a reputation for being a strong, tough-minded coach. He has a strong, tough-minded quarterback. What do you see happening with Big Ben this year in 2009?
I think Ben takes another leap toward greatness as far as completing more passes, throwing more touchdown passes, lowering his interceptions. What I love about his game is the fact that he does move within the pocket. He always looks to keep the play alive. He's a big guy. He's 6'5", 250. So he's a strong guy in the pocket. You can't bring him down. His toughness and leadership is unquestioned out there in Pittsburgh. I love the way he plays the game.
And what additions did they make to that offensive line to make sure that he can stay upright this season and not be sacked so much like he was last season?
Yeah, last season he was sacked 46 times. They drafted Craig Urbik, center, but he's gonna compete at guard for now. He's gonna compete for that right guard spot, but they killed two positions with one pick. So look for him to slowly take over as the starting center. But I do love, Matt Starks on the left side, Willie Colon on the right side. Willie Colon's the guy from Hofstra out here in New York. So he's going to do well. And I think that offensive line had the pressure turned up on him last year. So you want to improve. And I think they're going to improve next year because no one likes to be called out.
No, and another thing that went unnoticed last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers made it all the way to the Super Bowl, were victorious in the Super Bowl, yet they were riddled with injuries at the running back position. Now you have an off season, everybody should be coming back healthy. What do you see shaking up in that Pittsburgh backfield?
Well, necessity is the mother of all inventions, and the fact that they lost a lot of guys last year show that Manuel DeBoer can be a guy in a pinch for one or two games to start. Also, Willie Parker, what he brings to the table is speed. He's one slip tackle away from going 95 yards for a touchdown.
That's a fast guy.
He's blazing fast. Also, they get Rashard Mendenhall back, their former number one pick. That is a good pick for these guys. Is a good addition to get him back because he brings he combines what Manuel DeBoer and Willie Parker had. Maybe not as fast, but he has the complete package. He can run, he can catch. He needs to work on his blocking a little bit, but he can fix that as he gets more coaching. But I think the three of these guys are going to be phenomenal for the Steelers this year. They're going to be one of the top rushers in the AFC this season.
All right, we've covered the line, we've covered the running backs. What about the targets that Big Ben is going to be throwing to this season?
Start with the quarterback's best friend, Heath Miller, at the tight end position. He's going to do all right. He's going to stretch down the middle of the field. He keeps the defense honest. He makes the play action work. Heath Miller's the number two receiver on that team outside of Hines Ward. Well, you can't talk about Pittsburgh Steelers football without talking about Hines Ward. You have to bring him in the field. Future Hall of Famer. He's going to be all right. It's like his 11th year in the league. Then they let go Nate Washington, they let him walk, but they also retain Lyman Sweet, whom they expected to have a big season, and they drafted Mike Wallace out of Ole Miss, speedster.
And you can't forget big play and Santonio Holmes, the guy made that spectacular catch. That's a guy who I wasn't too high on, and going into that game, you told me that he was going to step up, and sure enough, he made the game-winning play. Now, we all know in Pittsburgh, they love to wave those terrible towels, but that's a defensive-minded city, defensive-minded team. What does Mike Tomlin bring back for a Super Bowl winning defense?
Well, it's hard to improve on the number one overall defense. They were number one in pass defense, number two in run defense. So they're at the top. And what he did was he added a couple more pieces. He had to replace Brian McFadden in the secondary, so he replaced him. Well, William Gay has to step up and be huge. They already have Ike Taylor, Louisiana Lafayette Raising Cajun back there to man the other corner down. It's his 7th year in the league. They draft Keenan Lewis out of Oregon, who can play corner and safety. So again, knocking out two positions with one player is always good. Versatility is key in the secondary. Now, when you talk Pittsburgh Steelers, you think linebackers.
Yes.
You think about all the great
man.
linebackers in history.
I see him blitzing right now.
Right, they coming this way. You guys don't see behind the camera, but the Pittsburgh Steelers linebackers are coming this way. Somebody better pick them up. Now they lose a linebacker. They lose
Foot, didn't they lose?
Larry Foote.
Yeah.
Larry Foote, but it wasn't the fact that they got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
He coached himself out of the position because it emerged a former number 1 pick, Timmons.
Oh yes.
Timmons is a terror now. He's ready to come off the end. You saw the play James Harrison made in the Super Bowl, one of the greatest plays ever made by a defensive player. He's coming off the edge. You have Farrier back. Farrier doesn't get old. You know, he's one of those guys that stays the same. I love the way he plays. And you also have Lamar Woodley coming on the outside. So I like the linebackers and the defensive line. I'm sorry, but the defensive line is going to get better because they drafted number 1 pick Ziggy Hood,
Missouri.
that tough defense out of Missouri to go along with Aaron Smith. He's looking to he's getting up there in age, so Aaron Smith is looking to he's a little bit longer than 2. So Ziggy Hood looked for him to take his spot.
And one thing you can't overlook is when you talk Pittsburgh Steelers, it's almost the greatest debate since LeBron and Kobe. You have the Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu debate. What do you see Troy doing this year? Is he going to step up as he always does and make the spectacular play week after week? What do you think?
Troy Polamalu is all over the field. He's one of those guys that's a terror on the defensive. He can almost play linebacker in a pinch if you need him to. He's flying around the ball. He's always a good guy in and out of the locker room, passionate about the game. So he's going to catch more interceptions this year, and he's going to knock more people out the game this year too.
Yeah, he's a fearless defender.
Jumping back on the defensive line, I forgot to mention Casey Hampton, big nose tackle in the middle. You can't run a 3-4 without a dominant nose tackle, and he's one of the best in the league.
And he's been holding it down for some years in Pittsburgh consistently. Now, we've covered offense, we've covered defense. What about the special teams? Is Santonio Holmes still going to be back there returning punts every now and then for these guys?
No, because that's what they drafted Mike Wallace for. Mike Wallace is a speed guy out of Ole Miss. He came from the SEC, so he's going to man that kickoff return duty. And Manuel DeMore is going to be more of the punt returner back there. He gives you more. He's a little shifty, but he added some weight, so he's giving you more physicality in the punt return game. The punter, Daniel Sepulveda. Sorry if I'm butchering that name, but he's a good punter. And then you have Jeff Reed back there as kicker, so you can't go wrong. Their special team is ace. Special team helped them win a lot of games last year.
So with all that said, what do you see overall? Where do they finish up in that division? You know, Baltimore is always on the hunt for them. Cincinnati has a new and improved defense. Do you think the Steelers still dominate that division?
Oh, but far and beyond, I think they continue their dominance. They're going to be number 1. They might lose a game. They might split with the Ravens in that division, but they're going to be number 1 in that division. I think they, just by them not losing anybody and adding more to that team, I think they're going to be head and shoulders above the rest. Also look for them to make a deep run to the playoffs and if not make a special appearance in the Super Bowl.
And as you said off camera, you can't replace having a great coach, and Mike Tomlin is one of the best. So there you have it. That's Emory Hunter's All the Playbook, giving you the 2009 Pittsburgh Steelers team preview. Please visit footballgameplan.com/NFL, where you can find more video analysis of your favorite team. I'm Cornell Hunter. That's Emory Hunter.